that you are all doing well, and thank you so much for joining me here today to talk about books. This month, we're selecting books with the help of the Cozy Bingo card, so we use the prompts to help select those books. The book for today is Everything is Poison by Joy McCollough, and it's a young adult historical fiction book. It's written in a combination of everyday language and poetry. I previously read and reviewed another book by this author, and that book was Enter the Body. It's a novel written in verse that gives voice to female characters from Shakespearean plays. This story is set in the 17th century in a neighborhood in Rome, Italy. Carmela has wanted to work in her mother's apothecary for as long as she can remember. The story opens on her 16th birthday, the day Julia, her mother, promised Carmela that she can join her, Maria, and Laura in working at the apothecary. Maria and Julia have a long history. When Julia was a child, her mother died and Maria took her in. Julia then began working at the apothecary shop for the apothecary at that time, and when he stopped working, Julia took over the shop. And she discovered in working there that she's very good with clients and with the remedies. And since Julia has taken over the apothecary shop, Maria has worked there too. These women do so much more than sell remedies. There's a great deal of skill involved in creating these remedies. Substances are extracted from plant materials, and they must be carefully mixed and in specific proportions. A small error can be deadly. They also provide a listening ear to the women in their community, being there for them when they have no one else to turn to, and helping to build their confidence. It's through their interactions with the women in their community that we learn about their lives. Often we think of the past as simpler times, but what these women go through is anything but simple. Their lives are in the hands of the men that they live with. Whether it's their fathers, their husbands, or their brothers, the men can do whatever they want with little to no repercussions. Not everyone appreciates the apothecary either, and it is often the subject of gossip. Julia is called a witch behind her back, and sometimes even by those she helps. Not everyone is secretive with their gossip either. In her childhood, Carmela's friend Violetta told all their friends that Julia was a witch. Now Violetta comes to the apothecary as a last resort. Carmela wants to just turn her away and not help her. But as Julia reminds Carmela, if someone needs help, we help them, often without receiving anything in return, sometimes being mocked by those they've helped. Carmela is surprised to learn that not all their remedies are healing remedies. There are a few secret remedies that are given out in very specific circumstances, and the repercussions of this can affect all of their lives. Everything is Poison takes place in the 17th century when life was grittier. It includes some pretty difficult topics. A difficult childbirth experience, abuse of women and children, assault, murder, and poisoning. It's definitely for the more mature members of the YA age group and older. This is a quick read, but at times it's difficult. I love the way the women of the apothecary shop work together. They support one another and their clients through good and bad. The women's friendship is a huge part of the story. I like reading historical fiction because it introduces us to the experiences that many had in the past. Sometimes it's just things we didn't think about. Sometimes it helps us to make connections on the intricacies of life. And while I cannot condone every action by those taken in this book, seeing what their lives were like makes some of their choices more understandable. What do you do when you have no good options and there's no one to help you? What can you read for a similar experience? If you're looking for something with many of the same elements, like taking place in an apothecary shop, set in the past, showing relationships between women, I would suggest The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. And I don't have a copy of the book here, but it is available in our library system from other branches of the library. And it's an adult fiction story set in two time periods, the late 18th century and the present. So in the present, Carolyn's life has fallen apart. She is in London on what was supposed to be her and her husband's anniversary trip. She's recently learned of an infidelity by her husband, therefore she's on this trip alone. She's contemplating returning to college, a dream that she gave up when, engaged, she decided instead to work for the family business. Through a series of events while in London, she joins a group of mudders. So they comb through the debris along the Thames River, searching for items that wash up. So they look for anything historical or valuable. Sometimes they find Roman coins, sometimes they just find something from the past. And Carolyn finds a glass vial, and she wonders about its origin. And she decides to do some research. And in researching, she's led to discover an apothecary shop and Nella, who ran the apothecary in the late 18th century. It makes Carolyn determined to find out about Nella, the apothecary shop, and her life. And through this experience, she grows to reevaluate her own life and her relationships. The Blood Years by Elena K. Arnold. It tells the story of a Jewish family living through the events of the Russian and German invasions of Romania during the late 1930s and through 1945. This is young adult historical fiction. Rika, her sister Astra, and their mother live with their grandfather after the girls' father left them. Their mother is withdrawn and depressed, and their grandfather helps take care of the girls, make sure that they have plenty to eat, and that they're happy. When World War II begins, Romania declares itself neutral. But Romanians live in fear of occupation by either the Soviet Army or Nazi Germany. And this is exactly what happens to Romania. They are invaded by one and then the other. The war affects all aspects of their lives. We experience what they experience as Rika and Astra hope to make it through the war and on to a better life. Poetry of Secrets by Cambria Gordon, which is also young adult historical fiction. It takes place in 15th century Spain during the Inquisition. For Isabel and her family, life is precarious. Because of Spanish society, those who practice Judaism are tortured and put to death. Isabel's family has converted to Catholicism, but in secret they follow their Jewish faith. If certain people discovered their secret, their lives would be in danger. The family thinks they have found an answer. The aquasile of the city, which is similar to the sheriff, wants to marry Isabel. Her family believes that this is going to provide a layer of protection for them. But Isabel prefers an independent life, filled with poetry and lived with the love of her choice. And she knows the perfect person. This is a story about fighting for the life you most want to live, about identity and about intolerance. And there we are. I hope that you enjoyed this look at Everything is Poison by Joy McCollough and other historical fiction titles, both young adult and adult, that deal with friendships. So let's cross off the prompts that I fulfilled by reading this book. So, published in 2024 or 2025, it was published in 2025. Red on the cover, person on the cover, historical fiction. Story that features friends or friendship, and then, set in a real or imagined city. And then there are a couple of non-reading prompts that I fulfilled also. We made a cozy snack, and the video with that is the one previous to this. And I took a 15-minute walk. In fact, I took a few of them. So, that's what we've filled so far. And now, let's find another book. All right, I think I've got it. We're going to do The Meadowbrook Murders by Jessica Goodman. And that will fulfill the blue on the cover. It will fulfill same color as my clothing because I have the dark blue and there's the dark blue on there. And it's a mystery. So we're going to get a few more of these crossed off, and maybe we'll get another non-reading prompt in there as well. So I hope that you will join me next time to talk about the Meadowbrook Murders. We will have an Explore and Create coming up either later this week or early next week, so I hope you will join me for that as well. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope to see you next time, and I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read. And thank you.